Well, here is someone that the youth really should be taking advice from. It's Mr. Caiphus Semenya, forced to live overseas because of apartheid, but he wanted to create an incredible career in music. And today it's a huge pleasure to have him with us in South Africa, and indeed on the show. Mr. Semenya, good morning to you. What a huge pleasure it is to have you with us as well. In 1976, a day I'm sure you remember. Yes. What do you take us through what you remember of that day?
Well, when it happened, I was in the States. I lived in Southern California then, Los Angeles, and we heard it over the radio. And we were stunned that young people had actually risen up against the government with stones and whatever they could lay their hands on. And, you know, especially for the exile community, it was amazing that it had gotten that far. You know, the pressure had been too much for the kids. Mm-hmm.
You went over and you were in exile over in America as well. At the time when you left, did you get a sense there was something dramatic going to happen in the next few years, that there was going to be an uprising, that the tempers and the temperament certainly was increasing?
Oh yes, because when I left, Madiba and you know, the Rivonia trial had taken place, and a lot of them were sent to prison. And the mood in the townships was you know, a mood of revolution. I mean, the revolutionary spirit was there. But as you know, in human affairs, it takes time. It just doesn't happen overnight.
Do the youth of today, Mr. Semenya, understand what was being fought for in those days? There's a massive generational gap. Do they get what you fought for, in your opinion?
I wouldn't say they don't. I think some do. But also when it comes to youth, it depends on what youth is taught. If the parents don't teach the youth about their history, the youth will not know it. But there are kids who really impress you when you speak with them. They understand what 1976 was about, and some of them are really prepared to make some kind of contribution to the reconstruction of this country.
People don't realize that when you go into exile, as you did, you're not alone in this. Your wife, Letta, was with you, and she's one of those women that many people credit to being able to get that message across to the youth of today as well. How influential is it for the older generation, I'd say with all due respect, to talk to the youngsters of today? The youngsters will say, it doesn't affect us now, it's a new South Africa, and the older people are stuck in their old ways. What do you say to those youth, to those youngsters?
All youngsters are like that. You know, I remember even when I was growing up, I used to challenge my mother about some of the old concepts that she held on dearly to, you know. But the fact is that the youth really rely on us if we, parents, teach them and show them the way and how to overcome some of the problems that they are dealing with now, and that would help them, you know, throughout their lives. Then the youth will listen to you. But if you think they'll just, you know, stand up and say, hey, no, it's not going to happen.
They wouldn't be the youth if they actually did listen to the older people without question. When I say the words "not yet uhuru," I mentioned uhuru as Swahili, I think it is.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Uhuru, Odinga was one of the freedom fighters in Kenya. And after, they used to call them the Mau Mau, after they had attained their freedom from Britain, Odinga was still not satisfied with a lot of negotiations that had gone down, and he still felt that they could have gotten more than they did, and he wrote that book, Not Yet Uhuru.
That was your wife, of course, who was heavily involved with that as well. Do you think we are with Uhuru these days? Are we at the point of Uhuru, I think is perhaps how I should say it?
I think we are at the point of Uhuru. I think there's still a lot that has to be done. There's still a lot that has to be done. Within the 18 years that we've had this democracy now, you still have a lot of people living for less than $2 a day, you know, and that can't, you know, that can't hold forever. Something has to give. If we don't do it now, you know, whatever happens in the future, we may not like it. And it is going to happen if we don't do something about it to make sure that the Uhuru that we have now is real. Because for now, not yet. But we'll get there.
A final question to you. I would like to hear from someone of your legacy, someone who lived through the time of Nelson Mandela at his most powerful, some would say. Currently in hospital, recurring lung infection, we know this. What is, as a final question to you, Mr. Semenya, what's your message to Madiba in hospital today, as if he was watching you now?
I would say to him, you fought a good fight. Throughout the years, you've kept the faith. So stay strong, be strong, because there's still many, many, many people who really wish you well, and they would like to see you continue with the good fight, because it's not over yet.
And wish you as well. A huge pleasure having you in this morning, the music legend himself, Caiphus Semenya.
News that moves. eNCA.com.